Welcome back. Cities around the country are seeing a surge in violence. Hartford's dealing with it. So is New Haven. That city had 20 homicides in 2020, and halfway through 2021, we're already close to that number. In the last couple of weeks, Mayor Justin Elicker strengthened the city's gun violence task force, enlisting the help of other mayors, law enforcement, and prosecutors serving the greater New Haven area to work together to end the violence. Mayor Elicker is joining us this morning. Mayor, thank you for being with us. So many people in your city so concerned about the violence, as they are in many cities. So what's your answer to them? Is there a solution out there?
This is an incredible challenge that many cities across the nation are experiencing right now. And our team is working very hard to respond to the uptick and has been doing so for months and months. We just expanded the shooting task force to collaborate with our partnering towns and federal and law enforcement. We've increased walking and bicycle beats. We work with the reentry population to make sure that they have resources and a lot more. It's a tough time for the community, and a lot of people are going through a lot of trauma because of the shootings, but we're working very hard to respond to it.
I want to break down some of what you just said there as we just deal with this first. So there's a lot of other things I want to talk about, but you talked about the neighboring communities. And I think a lot of the mayors, and we're talking to 3 city mayors this morning, would say the same thing. This isn't a New Haven problem or a Hartford problem or a New London problem. It's a regional problem. Is that how you view it? And is that why the task force is so important?
Absolutely. We're seeing crime skyrocket in places like New York and Chicago as well. New Haven's not an island, and our surrounding towns, Hamden, East Haven, West Haven, and Madison, are all part of the shooting task force. We're pooling our resources together to more efficiently and quickly solve some of the shootings. If someone shoots once, it's highly possible they may shoot again. And so we need to make sure that we're solving the shootings and holding people accountable. And that's part of our regional approach to this problem.
I saw one of the things you're really focusing on is those walking beats. You mentioned it in your answer to the first question, and there's been some news coverage recently about that. Why is that so important in your view? I know a lot of when you were running for mayor, one of the things you really harped on is I've been out here, I know these people, I've been in these neighborhoods. Does that help if you're a police officer too?
Absolutely. One of the most common things that I hear when I'm knocking on doors around the city is that people want not just more officers, but a relationship with their officers. I was actually walking the beat just earlier this week with a pair of officers, and they knew everyone's names. They knew the history of individuals. They would say, you know, that's so-and-so, that person's homeless. We've tried to connect that person with social services. And just that connection that they have with community members in the history helps them do their job better, keep people safe, and respond more appropriately, compassionately to the challenges that we're facing.
Just one more on this topic, Mayor, and that is there a solution here? Is there a day where we're going to say, you know, Mayor Elicker or Mayor Bronin or Mayor whoever has done it, right? In their city, they've really seen that big thing. Or is it really just, you know, keep kind of plugging the dike and hoping that you can do the best you can to respond to what happens?
My view is that ultimately we're not going to solve these challenges through law enforcement. We're going to solve them by confronting poverty head on. And that's the work that many of us are committed to. And that's everything from more access to affordable housing, to more investment in our schools and education systems, to reforming the criminal justice system. And we've seen more progress on those issues over the past year with a renewed commitment, in particular, to confront systemic racism. And I think that is the work ahead of us that is ultimately going to allow us to address crime and reduce the likelihood of people getting involved in crime.
But when we see the number as high as it is right now, is it just a surge that you have to deal with? Because obviously that's a long-term plan you're talking about there. So you have to have a short-term and a long-term?
Yeah, correct. But we're doing both. We're working on both. For example, earlier this year, we opened a reentry welcome center so that every individual that comes back out of prison to New Haven now is dropped off in front of Project More on Grand Avenue with a welcome and how can we help you? How can we connect you with services? And so that's a significant step in the right direction of providing support for people instead of responding with law enforcement.
Let's talk about some good news. We quoted you on this program a couple weeks ago when the legislature wrapped up, and I was talking to the Speaker of the House, and you said it was a celebratory moment to see the change in pilot funds. For people who may not know, these are places in your city that don't pay property taxes, and so the state gives you that money to help your budget. Why was this change to the budget so important for cities like New Haven, Mayor?
This is it's a game changer for our city. We historically have received around $41 million annually through the state's pilot program. It's historically been significantly underfunded. And mayors have for years said that the state needs to fund cities more. This year, thanks to the leadership of our state delegation and communities across the state that were advocating for this, New Haven and many communities got a dramatic increase in the amount of funding that's coming from pilot. And what's important here is that the funding structure was changed to ensure that municipalities that have a higher need get more additional money. For New Haven, this increases our payment from $41 million a year to $90 million a year. This will significantly help us address our structural financial problems around pensions and debt and help us have more financial stability, not just this year, but in many years to come.
Now, listen, I'm no math major, but I think 90 million is better than 41 million, no matter how you look at it. But if I'm just watching this morning, if I'm just Joe taxpayer in your city, Mayor, why is that such a big change? Because what does it actually mean for me if I'm just on the ground living in your city?
So the good news is it means no tax increase this year, and we don't have to make massive cuts and do a significant tax increase. The city of New Haven has been facing severe financial challenges because of an historic underfunding of our pensions and overborrowing, and also the inequity of our tax system that puts a lot of pressure on real estate taxes. This allows us to have more financial stability moving forward. Unfortunately, I can't say that we're going to reduce taxes, but we can start to address our deep financial challenges that we face as a city.
All right, we have about 30 seconds left. One of the things that politicians in jobs like yours have to deal with is kind of that perpetual running for re-election. I saw you just got endorsed in the 27th Ward, who had backed Tony Harp last time around. So do you feel like you're changing minds, making progress? Is that the kind of thing that makes you feel good about what you've accomplished?
Yeah, I think the nice thing here is that people look for results, and my team has, together with so many people in the city, gotten results for the city of New Haven, and that's handling COVID-19, I think, very, very well, especially compared to our peers across the nation, but also getting other things across the finish line, like pilot, making sure that our city has more resources to address the challenges that we're facing today.
Probably good news that we didn't even mention COVID till your last answer. Mayor Justin Elicker, we appreciate you taking a few minutes, and we'll be continuing to cover closely what happens in New Haven this summer. Thanks for a few minutes on this Sunday morning.
Always happy to be on. Thank you.
All right, coming up, what kinds of challenges are Connecticut's smaller cities facing this summer, and what opportunities are there? The mayor of New London is talking about coming back from COVID, and more coming up.